guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Scarly. Now I hope that you guys are all staying safe, that your families are safe. I hope that you guys are finding ways to keep yourself busy, to keep yourself positive in these trying times. I, for one, have started working out every day. I'm starting my healthy journey because when this quarantine thing started, I was eating every 10 minutes. I was eating the most unhealthy things. And it was just not good for me, and it started showing in my body, if you know what I mean. So I knew that it was time to get back on some sort of regular routine, and for me that was working out, eating healthy, staying consistent. So that's what I've been doing. I hope that, again, you guys have all been keeping yourselves busy and doing things that make you happy, because times are hard right now, but if we continue to lean on each other for support, we will get through this together. Now today's video is going to be a part 2 to last week's video. Now, if you saw last week's video, you will know that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I took advantage of this month to speak about my own personal experience with sex abuse and how it has affected my life. If you haven't watched that video, I strongly recommend that you stop watching this video, go watch that one first, then continue to watch this video just so that it can make some sense, because on this video I am going to be talking about my process in my healing. So that means the therapy that I received, the work that I did on my own and with support from my friends and my family in order to become the person that I am today, a stronger, smarter, empowered person. Now, before we begin, I do just want to say that I am not a mental health clinician and I am not a therapist. The only thing that I am doing here today is sharing my personal journey with you guys. The only thing that I am doing here today is sharing what coping mechanisms worked for me through my own personal healing journey with the help of my own therapist. So with that being said, if there is any trauma that you feel that you need to work through, I absolutely recommend that you consult with a mental health counselor. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is how long it took me to start therapy. So I was sexually abused when I was 9, and then again when I was 17, and I did not start any type of therapy service until I was about 25 or 26. So if you think about it, that is a really big gap in time. And I honestly believe that the only reason that that even happened is because I wasn't talking about my abuse with anybody. I wasn't talking to my friends. I wasn't talking to my teachers. I wasn't talking to my family members. And once I did open up, once I did share my story, once I did free myself from that trauma, that is when I started receiving all the help that I needed all of those 17 and 18 years. And honestly, it's better late than never. It is completely okay to do things on your own time when you are informed on how to go about it. Now guys, I honestly think that God was with me throughout this search, because I have heard horror stories about people taking months or years, whatever, a long time to find a therapist. And I got so lucky, you guys. It literally took one call. The first therapist that I called was the one that I ended up going with, and she is a godsend. I love her so much. She has helped me really turn my life around and grow from all the experiences and all the trauma that I have gone through. So during the first session that I had with my therapist, we spoke about how I was feeling for the last 17, 18 years. And in 5 words, I will say I felt depressed, anxious, lost, confused, sad. I didn't know who I was becoming. I didn't know who I was. And I was just desperate for answers. And what she helped me do in that first session was really categorize and prioritize what needed to be worked on. And the first thing that we spoke about were my triggers. Because of the abuse that I experienced, there were a lot of things that made me extremely anxious. And I'm just gonna name a few so that you understand how bad I needed this therapy. I was scared to be walking by myself, like many other women are. I was scared to be alone in my house. Even when living with my boyfriend, if he was out for the night, I would sleep with a knife under my bed because I was terrified that I was going to be attacked while I was alone in my apartment. In my very protected, gated, locks and keys of an apartment, I was still terrified every time that my boyfriend left. I was scared of being in an elevator with a man. Every time that I was alone in an elevator with a man, Sheesh. Oh my God, guys. I was hot. My heart was racing. I pictured worst case scenarios. It was really, really bad. So what my therapist and I first worked on was how to get through those moments where I completely felt unsafe. And what my therapist said to me was, you need to do whatever you need to do in order to make yourself feel safe. But you also have to test yourself and give yourself opportunities to know that not everybody is out to get you. That just because I'm walking alone, it does not mean that I am going to be attacked. That just because I am in an elevator with a man, it does not mean that he's going to bring me out of the elevator and sexually assault me. That not every time that I am home alone in my apartment, I am not going to get attacked and nobody is watching me from their windows. I had to work on myself, my mind, my thoughts, in order to understand that I am in control, that I am capable of keeping myself safe, and that not everybody is out to get me. That yes, I was abused. Yes, I was raped. But that does not mean that just because I let myself feel comfortable when I'm walking by myself, when I am by myself, that somebody is going to harm me. So what my therapist did was give me homework. After every session, I had to do something that was out of the norm for me in that time. So if my boyfriend went out, I was supposed to not sleep with a knife under my bed, under my pillow. If I was in an elevator with a man, I was not to feel afraid. I was to challenge myself, maybe have a conversation with the guy, ask him how his day is going, but I had to work on my thoughts and my anxiety so that I didn't start to freak out. I had to remind myself that in that moment I was safe. And as I started doing those exercises more and more after every session, I realized that I was conditioning my mind to not always be on alert. I would get out of my car, walk to my apartment, and I wasn't constantly looking back to see who was behind me. There were nights where I just would forget to get the knife in the kitchen and bring it to my room when my boyfriend wasn't home. There were times where I would get in my car and I wouldn't check the back seat to see if somebody was there. I was able to work through my anxiety simply by reminding myself that I am in control, that I am safe, that I am capable of keeping myself safe, and that I am not going to be harmed by anything or anyone. Simply, nobody's out to get me. And that is what I had to condition my mind to accept. And honestly, if it wasn't for those exercises, I honestly wouldn't even be living in California right now. Me, in another state, away from anybody that can protect me, in my own apartment, honestly, this is insane because 4 years ago, I would have never been able to do this. And it's only because I put in the work. It's because I was able to work through my anxiety, work through my fears, that I am here in California by myself in my own apartment. Now, don't get me wrong. It is 2020 and it is not safe out there for women. So I am still on alert, but I also remind myself that I am always safe, that God is always with me, and that I am in control. So I feel great, I'm feeling better, I'm feeling safe, but I am in a new state, in a new neighborhood where I don't know anybody. And so because of that, there is something that I bought when I first moved into my apartment. It's literally the first thing that I bought in order for me to feel safe in my new home. And it is this door lock. So what you do is you put it under your door knob when you lock it, when you're ready to go to bed or when you're home by yourself and you want to feel a little bit more safe. You put it under your lock, and if anybody tries to get in or turn your knob or whatever, it won't work. It locks and it just doesn't move, and it keeps you safe, and it will give you time to wake up and hear if somebody's trying to get into your apartment. So this has honestly saved my life. I don't think that even if I go to therapy for 20 years that I will be able to live by myself in an apartment and not have this, because of the times that we are living in. We are not safe, ladies, and we have to find ways to make ourselves feel safe, feel comfortable, and yeah, this is that. So in regards to my triggers, I will say that after 2 years of working with my therapist, I have noticed a significant improvement. I am not always on alert. I am constantly reminding myself that I am safe. Do not get me wrong, there are still moments where I become anxious and I am triggered by specific situations, but that does not mean that work has not been done and that I am not doing well in my healing journey. It just means that I still have room to grow and that the work never stops. Now, something else that I have struggled with ever since I was abused was not being in control. And that is something that I am still working on day after day after day. Have I improved? Yes. But it is still something that I have to continue working on because it affects me on a day-to-day basis. The anxiety that I get from not being in control has really affected my work relationships, my friendships, my romantic relationships, and really just my day-to-day life. And I think that stems from those 2 moments in my life where I was absolutely not in control and something bad happened to me because of it. So now I constantly feel like in order to protect myself, in order to keep myself safe, in order to be okay mentally and physically, I have to be in control of whatever situation it is that I am experiencing at that time. And honestly, that's just a silly way to think because obviously life does not always go according to plan. Things do not always happen how they're supposed to happen, how you expect them to happen. And that just causes more anxiety onto yourself, which is the reason why I continuously try to work on that. I mean, just moving to California alone was a big challenge for me. When I first moved here, I didn't have a job, I didn't have an apartment. All I had was a savings and a dream. And so far, life has really tested me with tons of unexpected situations that were thrown at me. You know, not getting a job until 4 months after living here, then getting comfortable in my life, then my dad passing away out of nowhere, then going to DR and dealing with that, then coming back and having to live through a pandemic. It's just insane. And a person like me who plans every step of her life is not mentally equipped to handle these types of situations. But thanks to the work that my therapist and I have done over the past few years, I honestly have to say that I am dealing with everything that is being thrown at me much better than I would have about 2 or 3 years ago. And yes, I still have my bad days. Quarantine isn't easy. Grieving by yourself, being forced to grieve by yourself in your apartment without being able to go out and enjoy your friendships and your support system is really fucking hard. And it's been really hard for me. But I have my support system, I still have them, and I'm able to call them whenever I need them. And they have really been helping me get through my bad days. So there was a time in my journey with therapy that I felt that therapy was just not it for me and that I needed more. I was feeling extremely depressed, I was experiencing suicidal thoughts, and I was just having a really hard time. So I spoke to my therapist, who was extremely concerned, and she referred me over to a psychiatrist because we both agreed that maybe it was time for me to try medication. You know, some people feel that they don't need that medication and they are able to overcome their trauma without the assistance of medication, and some rely on that medication in order to help them get through each and every day of their life. So I was open to trying it because I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it through this without the help of some medication. So this is a pretty quick story because that psychiatrist was literally a nightmare. So I went to the appointment, and what she had me do without even having a conversation with me was kind of fill out some sort of questionnaire, you know, check off some boxes. Are you depressed? Yes. Have you felt any anxiety? Yes. Have you ever had suicidal thoughts? Yes. And that was it. I literally went into her office 10 minutes after I filled out that questionnaire, and she was like, oh, okay, this is the medication that I'm going to prescribe you. And I was so taken back because I was like, are you gonna talk to me? Are you gonna ask me any questions? Are you gonna ask me why I'm here? What brought me here? Why I feel that I need medication? Have I tried an alternative option? You know, she didn't ask me anything. She didn't talk to me. And I was so taken back by that because literally the only thing that she said to me in that moment was, you checked off you're suicidal. Do you know that that's against God? Do you know that you shouldn't be doing that because it's a mortal sin? Even having the thought of killing yourself is a mortal sin. And in that moment, I knew that I had to get the fuck out of there, because that is not how a psychiatrist should speak to any patient. She took that job to help people like me, people who have experienced some sort of trauma and need help in getting through it. And if what she's going to do is judge, tell me that what I'm doing or what I'm thinking about is a mortal sin, and just throw medication at me, then that's not what I need. In that moment, I realized that maybe I just need to work a little harder on my mental health, that maybe my therapist and I need to try different techniques, because I no longer wanted to take any type of medication. In that moment, I realized that I am stronger than my PTSD, I'm stronger than my trauma, and I can get through this. And I am not saying that there's anything wrong with taking medication, but what I am saying is that for me personally, I wanted to try harder, to work on myself and get through my trauma. And that is exactly what my therapist and I did. For the remainder of time that we had together before I moved to California, we worked on my triggers, we worked on my anxiety, we worked on my control issues, and we worked on coping mechanisms that would assist me when I am alone, when I have nobody around me, and when I need to kind of pull it together and get myself through it. And I am honestly so grateful for my therapist. She is, again, like I said in the beginning of this video, she was a godsend. She is the reason that I am who I am today. And if she hears me say that, she will say, no, you are the reason you are who you are today. But without her help, I wouldn't have been able to get here. And if it wasn't for the work that my therapist and I did, I honestly would have been calling her 24/7, and I wouldn't have been able to just reach out to a friend and talk about how sad I was. I would have needed her to literally talk me down through an anxiety attack. And that just shows how much I've grown, how much the work that I have done already is paying off, because I am mentally and physically able to handle situations like this and not keep myself in bed for days, and not shower for days, and not cry myself to sleep, and not want to kill myself. So I am honestly so proud of myself, because I have come such a long way. And I remember that when I told my therapist that I was moving to California, she literally looked at me and said, wow, my work is done here. And I couldn't understand at the moment what she meant. And she was like, Scarlett, when you came to me 2 years ago, you would have not been talking about moving to another state where you knew nobody, where nothing was certain, where plans were just that, plans. But look at you, you're leaving, you're going to take that step, you're going to put yourself at risk in a sense, because you don't know what's going to happen when you're over there, and you're not going to have your immediate support system, but you are doing it. And I am so proud of you, and my job is done here. And I literally bursted into tears, because I just realized in that moment that I have come such a long way, and that those two people who took advantage of me and violated me are no longer in control, and they are no longer holding me down and keeping me from doing things that I want to do. They are the reason that I needed the therapy, but they are also the reason that I became a better person because of therapy. And obviously, I am not saying that if it wasn't for me being abused, that I wouldn't be the person I am today. But that part of my life absolutely impacted who I became and who I am today, sitting on this chair talking to you guys. If I didn't experience abuse, if I didn't experience anxiety, depression, if I wasn't diagnosed with PTSD, I wouldn't be here sharing my story with you guys, trying to help you also overcome your traumas, trying to help you become a better person. And for that, I am absolutely grateful. I wanted to share this part of my journey with you guys because I want you all to know that it is okay to need some extra help in order to get through whatever it is that you are going through. Just because you are getting therapy, it does not mean that you're crazy, regardless of what your parents or grandparents or uncles or aunts might say. Just because you need something more than just a hug or a little chat with your friends, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that you need help, that you went through something that changed your life, and that you need help in getting through it. And a therapist will do exactly that for you. They're there to just help you become the better version of yourself. And who doesn't want to improve? Who doesn't want to be better? Who doesn't want to know more so that they can do more, you know? You know what I'm saying? I say all of that to say this. I hope that you are all finding healthy ways to work through your trauma. We all have our own story, our own baggage, and you have to find healthy and positive ways to get through that. I hope that you have a support system that you can lean on, a support system that you can talk to and just share your life with, because it is important to have people. It is important to have people who accept you, who know you, who love you, flaws and all. And I'm so lucky that I have that support system. I am grateful for every person in my journey that has played a role in helping me become who I am today. I just want to remind you guys that if you are looking for a therapist, you can always first go through your insurance. You can reach out to them and have them send you a list of therapists in your area. I will also be linking some resources below on websites that can also help you find a therapist in your area, as well as apps that are designated to help you work through your mental health. As always, I would like to thank you for watching this video. Please do not forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I'm always posting content related to positivity, good energy, happiness, empowerment. Be the best version of yourself. Again, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay home, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Bye.